All right, it is time for Tuesday tier rankings, the last Tuesday tier rankings of the regular season, and it's going to be a doozy. This is going to be a very weird yet fun edition of this because in week 18, we got a lot of backup quarterbacks. We got a lot of guys playing who we have not talked about all year who got some playing time this week, and so we're going to put them into one of these 5 tiers, and then tomorrow I'm going to go through the entire regular season, figure out who spent the most time in each tier, the great tier, the good tier, the fine tier, the poor tier, the trash tier, who spent the most time in each tier and put them there for the whole year based on where they spent the most time this season. But for right now, it is week 18, Tuesday tier rankings, and we are starting with my guy, Marcus Mariota, who he didn't start for Washington, but he played majority of the game. And I thought Marcus was good. He led a game-winning drive at the end, was accurate, didn't make any huge mistakes, and he led him down there and threw a game-winning touchdown at the end to beat the Cowboys. And I'll tell you what, Marcus Mariota has turned into a pretty quality backup quarterback in this league, and I'm glad to see it because I've always liked Marcus ever since he got drafted to my team, the Tennessee Titans. Drew Lock with the New York Giants reverted back to his old ways, thought he was poor this week against the Eagles in the season finale. I think that's what aggravates Giants fans the most. That performance that he had against the Colts last week where he was just phenomenal, I think everybody knew it was a fluke. I think everybody knew it wouldn't last. I think everybody knew that it was just a one-time thing, and that's exactly what it was. He came out the next week against the Eagles, and he was just Drew Lock. And so I thought he was pretty poor. Trey Lance, like I said, some names that we have not mentioned all year, but he got the start for the Dallas Cowboys against Washington. And I thought he was fine. I mean, I think you have to remember going into this next season, there are a lot of teams who need new quarterbacks, and it's not the best draft class for quarterbacks. Free agent market's not going to be very eventful. Seeing what we've seen with guys like Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, is somebody out there could they possibly take a chance on a guy like Trey Lance? I don't know. I mean, he had a shot to really make some noise on Sunday, and I thought he was fine. I mean, he didn't score, he didn't throw any touchdowns or anything, but he threw about 250. He was fine. Tanner McKee played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who? Tanner McKee, and I thought Tanner McKee was good. I mean, this guy actually, thought he played pretty well. He made more of a statement for, if you're a team out there who's just desperate for a quarterback and want to take a chance on a guy, call up the Eagles, see what they want for Tanner McKee. Thought he did a good job. I know he was playing the Giants, but I thought he was good. Snoop Huntley with the Miami Dolphins. I thought he was pretty poor. The Dolphins were in a position. I know the Broncos ended up winning, so it wouldn't have mattered, but the Dolphins were still alive in the playoff hunt, very much so. And what a disastrous performance from them. The Dolphins are going to be an interesting team to watch this offseason. I don't know what they're going to do. They've got some real issues there. I know they said they're keeping their coach and GM and everything, but personnel-wise, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I thought Snoop Huntley was pretty poor. Joe Milton with the Patriots. This dude was good in this game. I personally appreciate him because the Patriots winning helped the Titans secure the number 1 pick in the draft. But, I wonder. I know, it's one game. You don't want to get Matt Flynn where you sign somebody who had one good game and then it ends up never panning out. But like I said, there are going to be some teams desperate for a quarterback going into 2025. And after some of what Joe Milton showed for the Patriots, does somebody call them up and take a chance on bringing in Joe Milton? Because he was good for the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers, after talking about Marcus Mariota, Tanner McKee, Joe Milton, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, and Snoop Huntley Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Dang it, I thought Aaron Rodgers was great. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. I thought Aaron Rodgers was great, especially when you consider the fact you're going into week 18 on a terrible Jets team, awful season. What do they got? 3-4 wins. But you know what? Aaron Rodgers played the entire season. Everybody talks about Aaron Rodgers' attitude, his arrogance, but you know what? This dude went out there in all, however many, 17 games, and he suited up and played for the New York Jets, knowing he's probably not going to be back next season, knowing that a lot of the dudes don't even want him there. So give the man a little bit of credit. He showed up and he played exceptionally well. I think he had 4 touchdowns. After last week against the Bills, where he was absolutely horrible, you know what? Kudos to this, because he could have sat out. He could have gone home. He could have said, forget about it. We're awful. It's sloppy weather conditions. Forget it. But this dude went out there, and not only did he play, but he played well. Give the guy credit for that, whether you like him or not. Mitch Trubisky for the Bills. I mean, poor. The Bills, this is not a game that they were exactly dying to win. I mean, they're locked into the number 2 seed in the AFC. They were just trying to get this game over with. So, yeah, I thought Trubisky was poor, but who cares? Caleb Williams, there's a starter. Caleb Williams, I'm going to say Caleb Williams was good because I know this season has been miserable for the Bears, but if you have to end a miserable season on a positive note, they finally beat the Packers. Maybe they can go out and get a new head coach. They can build off of that momentum. Caleb helped him get down there to kick the field goal to win it, just like he helped him get down there to kick the field goal to win it the first time they played Green Bay, but the dude missed the kick, or it got blocked. I don't even remember what happened. God bless Caleb Williams. He was in a miserable spot this year. He held in there. They got a win over Green Bay. Sam Darnold. Some of you may think this is too harsh. I thought Sam Darnold was trash. For the stage that this was, against the Lions with the number 1 seed in the NFC on the line, I thought he was horrible. And I'm fully aware he's had a really good year, a great year. But for this moment, in this game, with all of this on the line, I thought Sam Darnold was trash. I thought he looked like Jets Sam Darnold. Now, they're going into the playoffs. What are they? Are they on the road to play the Rams, I think, maybe? I don't know. This is not what you needed to go into the playoffs. A bad Sam Darnold performance in a huge game. I thought this was trash. My guy, Malik Willis, played for the Packers. I thought Malik was fine. I mean, listen. Among Titans fans, they've been talking like, oh, we should have kept Malik. We should have kept Malik. Malik's a stud. Listen, Malik Willis is a backup quarterback. He's a backup quarterback, and that's what he played like this week. I thought Malik was fine and nothing more. Jared Goff. Yeah, Goff was good. I mean, the Lions won. I mean, this was a pretty dominant performance from the Lions to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Goff was good. I mean, Goff's been good. Thought he outplayed Darnold by a country mile. And so, yeah, Goff was good. Joe Burrow. Yeah, we're talking about some starters now. All right. Talking about some starters. Joe Burrow. I thought Burrow was good. I'm not going to say he was great. This was not one of Burrow's premier performances, but he was good. And this is proof. The Bengals of 2024 are proof. Those games early on in the season matter when you get to the end. If the Bengals just had one more win, If the Bengals could have just found a win, and I'm sure you could go through the Bengals schedule to some of those games that they lost close. You just give me one of those. Week 1, even though I understand it's week 1 and stuff like that, but like those games matter at the end. The Bengals would have been dangerous if they'd gotten in, but they didn't get in. Joe Burrow was just sensational this season. Just because the Bengals didn't make the playoffs, don't sleep on Burrow. He's unbelievable. Lamar Jackson, I mean, they were playing the Browns, and he played the whole game because they had to lock up the AFC North. Yeah, I'll say Lamar was great. I'll say Lamar Jackson was great. I mean, I understand they were playing the Browns, and Derrick Henry had like 150 yards, the king, unbelievable. But I just, when Lamar's on, or any semblance of on, there's nobody else that does what he does. And a lot of people arguing about the MVP. If you give it to Lamar, I'm not arguing. Okay. Like, I personally think you could do co-MVPs with him and Josh Allen, but I digress. Russell Wilson. Oh, boy. I thought Russell was poor. I mean, I think when he came in for the Steelers, initially, I thought Russell Wilson looked like the Russell Wilson of old. Man, I feel like he has really slacked off this last month of the season. What, have they lost 4 straight going into the playoffs? So not momentum. They got the Ravens this weekend. I anticipate that the Ravens are probably going to kick their butt. And I don't know what you do with Russell Wilson. I was confident the Steelers would keep him. Now that he's playing worse, I think they may let him go. And I hear there's an opening in Nashville, is all I'm going to say. Bailey Zappi played majority of the game for the Browns. Much like a lot of the other Browns quarterbacks, I thought he was trash. I thought he was absolutely horrible. The Browns are absolutely horrible. They have the number 2 pick in the draft. Interesting to see what they may do. But the Browns, yeah, what a terrible team. Bailey Zappi, just another terrible quarterback playing for them. Then we go to the 49ers with Josh Dobbs. Our old buddy Josh Dobbs. And I thought Dobbs was fine. A lot of former Titan quarterbacks played this week. Mariota, Malik, Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs was fine. I think Josh Dobbs is a quality NFL backup quarterback. Nothing more. I think he's proven that's kind of what he is. But, he is capable of coming in and doing some special things. But I thought Dobbs was fine. Jimmy Garoppolo played for the Rams, and they lost. But I thought Garoppolo was good. And this especially, Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy that I think you will hear his name this offseason because, as I have said already, a lot of bad teams in the NFL that are desperate for quarterbacks with a quarterback class that's not deep at all, not good at all, except for like a couple of guys you could go with at the top, which my team may, but it's not a good class like last year. Free agency, not very deep. I just wonder if somebody will roll the dice on bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. The guy's played in the Super Bowl. I know last year it didn't go great, but I mean, he played well enough for the Rams on Sunday. I could see somebody bringing him in and hoping you get the Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold experience with him. I think somebody would try that, especially with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, considering he is a veteran. He's been around, Kyler Murray. I thought Kyler was good. I actually think it was one of Kyler's better performances. It's just got to be aggravating for Arizona because you're thinking like, okay, we got to do something with this guy. We got to go another direction. And then he comes out in week 18 and he has a good performance and they put up nearly 50 points and they win. And it's like, okay, is there hope? Because then if you come back next season and you think there's hope with this guy and then he does what he always does, which is just up, down, up, down, up, down. Geno Smith. Thought Geno was great. And I think Geno Smith is one of those guys who has set a precedent for these guys who have been given up on at other places that can come in and reignite your organization or help reignite your organization. Geno Smith's done a great job, and the Seahawks, it sucks for them. They're the only 10-win team in the league this year not to make the playoffs. What a bummer. Justin Herbert played the whole game for the Chargers, and he was great. I thought Justin Herbert was absolutely fantastic for the Chargers. They whooped the Raiders just like they should. Bo Nix for the Broncos, also great. I understand the Chiefs were not exactly putting their best foot forward, but I thought Bo Nix was fantastic. I thought that, threw for like 1 billion touchdowns or whatever, 4 or 5 touchdowns, shut out the Chiefs, left no doubt in a clutch performance. The must-win situation for Denver, and they got the job done. If they had lost, I guess the Bengals would have gotten in because the Dolphins lost. Carson Wentz played for the Chiefs, and he was horrible. Trash. He was the worst quarterback of Week 18, I believe. He just horrible. And the Chiefs literally looked like they went out there and said, let's get this over with. Like, the Broncos, go ahead. We don't want the Bengals in the playoffs, so you guys just stomp us out, and congrats. Aiden O'Connell with the Hades. I thought he was fine. I mean, he is who he is. He'll be a good backup for somebody. He's not a starting quarterback in this league, but he was fine in a miserable situation there in Vegas. Baker Mayfield. You know what? I'm going to put Baker into the great tier. I thought Baker Mayfield, trailing at halftime, he came back and threw some zingers in that second half. His touchdown, I think it was a touchdown to maybe Evans. I don't remember who he threw it to, but unbelievable pass by Baker. I thought he was great. Bryce Young. Great. For the first time ever, Bryce Young makes it to the great tier. Not just because of the throws he made, not just because of the clutch performance in the win to end the year, but the swagger of this kid. Have you seen the clip of him throwing a touchdown, and before the guy even catches it, he turns around, puts the hands up? We're seeing Bryce Young growing up before our very eyes, and I like Bryce, so I'm glad to see it. Michael Penix with the Falcons I thought was good. I think there's a lot to like about him. I think that the Falcons should feel good about coming back next year with him. I know this was a very disappointing season for Atlanta because going into the year, you knew the Panthers probably weren't going to be great. You knew the Saints probably weren't going to be great. The Bucs, a lot of people felt like they might come back down to earth after last year. It felt like the Falcons' division to lose, and they lost it. But if there's any solace, you can come back next year with Michael Penix and feel like you've really got a guy there that you can build around. Spencer Rattler, dang it, I thought this was his best performance in the NFL so far. Wasn't great, but I thought Spencer Rattler was good and showed the most promise that he has. I don't know what the Saints are going to do at quarterback next year. It's a tough situation, but I thought Spencer Rattler, I don't think they need to go with him, but I did think he was good. Joe Flacco for the Indianapolis Colts. I thought Joe was good. I think a lot of times Colts fans kind of rag on Joe Flacco just because it's an easy target because you don't have any ties to him. But really, I think with the exception of maybe one game that Flacco played in this year, I still think Joe Flacco played at a pretty good level for the Colts when he got in there. Mac Jones. Mac was fine. I don't know. He ended up, when he first got in there with the Jags, he looked terrible. He played a good chunk of the season, but Mac Jones, he's a fine backup quarterback. Davis Mills played majority of the game for Houston. I don't know. I guess Davis was fine. You had a fumble return for a touchdown that the defense got. You had a 92-yard touchdown run that his running back got. He didn't have to do anything. He just had to he did land on his head once, but, it was just a let's get this over with game, and so he was fine. I put both of the Titans quarterbacks on here because they literally both played. It was like a preseason game. They were just alternating possessions. Up first is Mason Rudolph. Poor. Poor. Nothing more needs to be said. And up last is Will Levis. Only thing keeping him out of the trash is that he had one long touchdown pass that was complete nonsense. Didn't even mean to throw it to the guy, but this random dude named Tay Martin, who I've never even heard of, caught a touchdown. That'll raise Will from the trash into the poor tier. I will save Will from the trash. I'll put him into the poor tier just because of the one touchdown. That's about it. So there you go. What a cast of characters on the last tier ranking Tuesday of the regular season. In the great tier, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, and Bryce Young. In the good tier, we've got Marcus Mariota, Tanner McKee, Joe Milton, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyler Murray, Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler, and Joe Flacco. In the fine tier, Trey Lance, Malik Willis, Josh Dobbs, Aiden O'Connell, Mac Jones, and Davis Mills. What a lineup in the fine tier. But then you have the poor tier, which is Drew Lock, Snoop Huntley, Mitch Trubisky, Russell Wilson, Mason Rudolph, and Will Levis. And in the trash, Sam Darnold, Bailey Zappi, and Carson Wentz. We'll be back tomorrow to do the year-end tier ranking. See you then. Bye.